Welcome back to the circus, where the clowns wear suits and call themselves progressives. If you thought things couldn't get any more unhinged, buckle up because the Democrats have turned the crazy to 11. Today we've got AOC, who once claimed the planet had a 12-year expiration date, now handing out IQ scores to billionaires. Ilhan Omar apparently running a master class on dodging immigration law, and Randi Weingarten, who makes more in a year than 10 teachers combined, wants you to believe Trump is stealing teacher salaries like some kind of orange Robin Hood. Meanwhile, Elizabeth Warren is out here shrieking about Elon Musk and vegetarians like she's trying to hit the political crazy bingo jackpot. But wait, there's more. There's always more with the left, because they have officially entered the lock up Elon era, because nothing says democracy like imprisoning people they don't like. Ayanna Pressley is calling for street agitation, shock of the century. Maxine Waters is foaming at the mouth about Musk, and Chuck Schumer, well, let's just say his attempt at rallying the troops went about as well as Biden climbing up a set of stairs. And then there's LaMonica McIver, a sitting U.S. rep, basically declaring war on America. So yeah, just another day in Democrat land, where the real enemy isn't crime, inflation, or an open border. It's anyone who dares to stand up to government corruption. And today we're kicking things off with one of the greatest luminaries of the Democrat Party, AOC herself, who had this to say about Elon Musk.
This dude is probably one of the most unintelligent billionaires I have ever met or seen or witnessed. Which, you can probably even glean that from watching these people on TV. Anyways, all of that is to say is that they don't do their homework. Clearly, they're putting 19-year-olds in at the Treasury. This dude is not smart. And the danger in the lack of intelligence and the lack of expertise that Elon has. I mean, this guy is one of the most morally vacant, but also just least knowledgeable about these systems that we really know of. But the point is that what that means is that they're going to hit a button inevitably. They are going to hit a button and things can go sideways.
Ah, yes, yet another thrilling episode of AOC versus reality, where facts don't matter, logic is offensive, and the only requirement for making a statement is complete and utter ignorance. This time, our favorite bartender turned economic expert has decided that Elon Musk, yes, the guy who revolutionized transportation, space travel, and artificial intelligence, is actually one of the most unintelligent billionaires she's ever seen. That's a bold claim from someone whose greatest technological achievement was discovering what a garbage disposal does. But hey, when has AOC ever let reality get in the way of a good self-righteous tantrum? Let's start with her doomsday prophecy about someone hitting a button and things going sideways. What button? Is Musk sitting on some Bond villain-style doomsday switch? Are we talking about the button that launches Teslas into space, or one that lets people have free speech on X? She never specifies because she has no clue what she's talking about. This is the classic appeal to fear. The same trick the left pulled when they said Trump's 2017 tax cuts would destroy the economy. Instead, GDP growth jumped to 3.2% in 2018, unemployment hit a 50-year low at 3.5%, and middle-class wages grew at the fastest rate since the Great Recession, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics in 2019. So sorry, AOC, turns out letting people keep their own money doesn't cause the apocalypse, unless, of course, you're a socialist, in which case, it's basically the end of the world. Then comes the real kicker. This dude is not smart. Now, that's rich coming from someone who thought a $2.5 billion tax break meant New York was paying Amazon rather than simply allowing them to keep more of their own money. That genius economic insight, by the way, cost her district 25,000 high-paying jobs, as reported by the New York City Economic Development Corporation. Meanwhile, Musk is out here founding companies that actually matter. Tesla, valued at over $700 billion, according to NASDAQ in 2024, is single-handedly responsible for making electric vehicles mainstream. Global EV sales have skyrocketed, with Tesla leading the market at 1.3 million deliveries in 2022 alone, as reported by Statista in 2023. Meanwhile, AOC is still trying to figure out how tax incentives work. And let's not forget SpaceX, the company that actually sends people to space. NASA now relies on Elon because they couldn't figure out how to do it cheaper than $54,500 per kilogram, while SpaceX does it for as little as $1,500 per kilogram, according to NASA in 2023. Oh, and Starlink, the system providing low-latency internet to 2.3 million users across 60-plus countries, many in places where no other service was available, as reported by SpaceX in 2024. Yeah, they do that. But yeah, let's hear more about how Musk is an idiot, while AOC, who once blamed inflation on corporations just being mean, enlightens us all on economics. Then she moves on to another classic tactic: vague insults with no specifics. She claims Musk lacks intelligence and expertise, but never actually explains how. Does she think Tesla runs on fairy dust? That SpaceX just guesses how to land rockets? Musk literally coded and engineered the original Tesla software himself, while AOC's biggest accomplishment was making tax the rich sweatshirts that cost $58 a pop. But let's talk about the actual lack of expertise, shall we? Her Green New Deal, which she swore up and down would save the planet, was so laughably bad that not a single Democrat in the Senate voted for it. As recorded in the U.S. Senate vote in 2019, the price tag, a casual $93 trillion over 10 years, 4 times the entire U.S. GDP, according to the American Action Forum in 2019. That's the equivalent of handing every American a blank check and just hoping for the best. But sure, AOC totally understands finances better than the guy who turned Tesla into a global powerhouse. And then there's the classic fear-mongering about government efficiency. She whines that 19-year-olds are running the Treasury, which is a deliberately misleading attack on Musk's involvement in the Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE. What she actually means is that Musk is cutting through bureaucratic fat and stopping the government from hemorrhaging money like a drunk gambler in Vegas. Here's the reality. Federal bureaucracy has ballooned to 2.1 million employees, according to the U.S. Office of Personnel Management in 2024, and inefficiencies cost taxpayers over $247 billion per year, according to the Congressional Budget Office in 2023. But sure, let's panic because Musk wants the government to function instead of just being an employment agency for useless paper pushers. But let's be real. This isn't about intelligence, expertise, or government efficiency. It's about control. AOC and her progressive allies hate Musk because he won't bow to them. He exposes government waste, allows free speech on X, and proves that private industry can outperform the government at almost everything. That makes him dangerous, not to America, but to them, politicians, the swamp. Their entire worldview crumbles if people start realizing that bureaucrats aren't necessary, that companies can innovate without government handouts, and that freedom of speech actually matters. So their only move, attack him, insult him, and hope their followers don't ask too many questions. To sum it up, AOC, the woman who couldn't even explain how to pay for her own Green New Deal, is now lecturing Elon Musk on intelligence, a guy who privatized space travel, built the largest electric car company in the world, and is literally creating brain-computer interfaces to help paralyzed people move again. I'd say that's rich, but then again, AOC loves tax hikes, at least when it's your money and not her. And moving right along in the retard exhibit on the Democrat aisle, Ilhan Omar is out here educating Somalians who have immigrated illegally to America how to avoid facing the consequences for breaking America's immigration laws.
xildhibaanad Ilhan Omar oo dhowaan la hadashay saxaafadda ayaa talo bixin siisay dadka sharciga aan haysan ee ku nool dalkan.
waxaan ula talinayaa dadka Soomaalida ah haddii ay maxaa la dhahaa ii sheeg ice ay isku dayaan inay ku su'aalaan muku qasban tihid inaad su'aalahooda aad ka jawaabtid waxaad dhihi kartaa lawyer aan advice garay inaanan ku jawaabin qasab ma aha magacaaga iyo sharciga ku joogtid iyo waxaas oo dhan isa ku imaataybo inaad kala hadashid marka baro sharciyada iskuna diyaari in aad maxaa la dhahaa ii sheeg aadan dadkaaniiti aadan u sheegin information aadan rabin inay ogaadaan.
Yet another entry into the Ilhan Omar Guide to Undermining America, where the laws don't matter, criminals are the real victims, and the only thing illegal is questioning her loyalty to this country. This time, she's out here openly instructing illegal immigrants, undocumented future Democrat voters, on how to dodge ICE and avoid deportation. That's right, a sitting U.S. Congresswoman is giving a master class on law evasion. But if you try to deduct an extra $500 on your taxes, the IRS would be at your door faster than Hunter Biden misplacing a laptop. In the clip, Omar, who in case you forgot is the first Somali American Congresswoman, a fact that the media reminds us of more often than they remind Joe Biden what year it is, tells illegal immigrants exactly what to do if ICE comes knocking. Her advice, play dumb. Say your lawyer told you not to answer questions, and absolutely do not admit to being in the country illegally. Translation, obstruct federal law enforcement, break the rules, and make it as difficult as possible for the U.S. to enforce immigration laws. Imagine a Republican congressman holding a seminar on how businesses can dodge taxes. CNN would be foaming at the mouth, but when Omar does it, it's suddenly a compassionate legal briefing. And let's talk about the sheer hypocrisy of this. If you commit a crime, you're expected to face the consequences. If you get pulled over for expired tags, no one's telling you to just refuse to answer questions. If you forget to pay a parking ticket, there's no Democrat Congress member advising you on how to stall the system and stay off the government's radar. But if you break federal immigration law, Omar's got your back. You see, in the progressive justice system, Americans get punished, but foreign nationals who snuck in illegally get legal coaching from members of Congress. Meanwhile, 8 U.S. Code 1324 explicitly states that harboring, shielding, or encouraging illegal immigrants to evade detection is a felony offense, punishable by up to 5 years in prison. But somehow, when Ilhan Omar does it, it's just constituent outreach. And just when you thought the gaslighting couldn't get any worse, the media is now covering for Ilhan, claiming this clip was mistranslated. Because, of course, they are. Omar got major heat last year after this clip originally went viral, which led to people rightfully calling for her deportation. At the time, Marjorie Taylor Greene introduced a censure motion and later told reporters, "I would love to expel her. I think she should be deported. I honestly do." But here's the thing. There's no mistranslation here. The words are right there, clear as day, straight out of her mouth. They're just mad that people finally caught on to the fact that Omar is prioritizing illegal immigrants and Somalis over American citizens. So their only move is to yell mistranslation and hope you're dumb enough to believe it. At the end of the day, this isn't about miscommunication or linguistic nuance. This is about a Democrat congresswoman giving step-by-step instructions on how to break the law while the media runs interference for her. Meanwhile, law-abiding Americans get fined, arrested, and prosecuted for way less. You park in the wrong spot for 15 minutes. Boom, ticket. But you sneak into the country illegally? Don't worry, Omar's got a legal escape plan for you. At this rate, Democrats might as well start offering loyalty cards for breaking the law. One felony away from a free voter registration. And yet, they wonder why people are calling for her to be deported. And moving right along on our Hall of Meltdowns today, the president of the American Federation of Teachers, Randi Weingarten, is absolutely losing her mind over Trump killing the Department of Education.
Where's the money going? Who's taking it? Are they trying to take that money that kids get for tax cuts for billionaires? What's going on? That's why we have to see what they're doing. It is illegal to take that money out of children's mouths and give it to billionaires.
Now, are there areas you think that could be improved or streamlined?
Oh, my God. My members, remember, Al Shanker actually didn't want a Department of Education. He wanted it to stay, one of my predecessors, he wanted to stay within Health and Human Services, HEW, because he thought it was more important to have the whole child focused on. So, of course, there are ways to fix the bureaucracy. Of course, there are ways to make things better. I mean, Elizabeth Warren just found millions of dollars of savings that could happen if people work together. But my point is this, and you just said it. States and localities run education. They basically, that's where 90% of the funding for education goes. They already run it. They should run it. The federal government should not run it. But if we want to try and make things better, like having different kinds of pathways for kids in terms of career and tech ed, the states and localities have not done this. I was a teacher, an AP history teacher in a career tech ed school in the 90s. We have to change. We have to make these pathways available. So if someone who, like Linda McMahon and I, happen to agree on something like this, you need federal policy to be able to push this. Let's outcompete the world. We need education to do that. We need to have a Department of Education to do that and lean into that.
And in today's episode of Professional Hypocrisy, we get none other than Randi Weingarten, the self-appointed savior of public education, who, by the way, rakes in $534,243 a year, while the average teacher is barely scraping by on $44,530. And now, in her latest psychotic break, she's claiming that Trump is stealing teachers' salaries and handing them over to billionaires by cutting the Department of Education. That's right, she wants you to believe that slashing Washington bureaucracy somehow leads to starving children, because nothing says for the kids like funneling billions into a department that produces zero measurable improvements in education. Now let's dissect this absolute word salad she gave us. Weingarten screeches, "Where's the money going? Who's taking it? Where's the money going?" Great question, Randy. Let's start with you, because last I checked, while teachers were digging into their own wallets to buy classroom supplies, 94% of them, according to the National Education Association, spending an average of $500 a year on that, you were sitting comfortably on a $500,000 salary and throwing temper tantrums on CNN. Where's that money going? Who's taking that? Then there's her grand claim that cutting the Department of Education is illegal because it takes money out of children's mouths. Illegal? Really? Under the law? Remind me again, which section of the Constitution mandates a bloated, useless federal agency to teach kids how to identify their pronouns? Because last I checked, teachers aren't even paid by the federal government. 92% of school funding comes from state and local sources, with the federal government kicking in a measly 8% for things like school lunches and special education. That's straight from the National Center for Education Statistics. So let's get this straight. Cutting an agency that contributes almost nothing to teacher salaries is somehow stealing money from them. By that logic, if I cancel my Netflix subscription, I'm stealing money from Hollywood actors. But wait, it gets better. Randy weirdly, mid-rant, accidentally admits the truth. 90% of education funding already comes from states and local governments. That's right. She single-handedly obliterates her own argument in real time. Chef's kiss. If the feds barely fund education, then how exactly does eliminating the Department of Education leave schools penniless? Answer, it doesn't. If anything, it would free up billions wasted on federal bureaucracy. According to the Heritage Foundation, up to 41% of federal education funds are wasted on administrative overhead, compliance, and other non-classroom expenses. In other words, the Department of Education is just a middleman skimming off the top while teachers are left broke. And speaking of wasted money, let's talk about the actual theft happening here. The Department of Education has been hemorrhaging cash like a drunken gambler in Vegas. In 2018 alone, the Office of Inspector General found over $6 billion lost to fraud, mismanagement, and duplicate payments, including $1.3 billion in improper student loan forgiveness payouts and $2.7 billion in redundant programs. But no, let's panic over billionaires getting tax cuts instead of actual documented cases of your precious department setting money on fire. Then comes the real kicker. She admits even her own union's former president, Al Shanker, opposed the creation of the Department of Education. That's right. Randy is now arguing against her own predecessor's position. Shanker, back in the day, warned that centralizing education in Washington would lead to waste, inefficiency, and political interference in schools. Fast forward a few decades, and that's exactly what happened. The Department of Education was created in 1979, and since then, student test scores have flatlined, while federal education regulations have increased by over 600%, according to the Congressional Budget Office. So congratulations, Randy. You're now fighting for a department that even your own movement thought was a terrible idea. And just when you think it can't get any dumber, she throws out Elizabeth Warren as an example of a fiscal watchdog. Yes, Elizabeth, I have a plan for that. Warren, who proposed over $50 trillion in new government spending during her 2020 campaign, is now a budget guru, according to Weingarten. She claims Warren found millions in savings. Wow, millions. That's adorable. Meanwhile, the Department of Education burns through $79.6 billion a year, while U.S. students rank 38th in math and 24th in science internationally, according to the Program for International Student Assessment. That's like bailing out the Titanic with a shot glass. Then we get to her last most laughable argument. We need the Department of Education to outcompete the world. Oh, do we now? Because the United States spends more per student than almost any other country, yet we're still getting academically humiliated by South Korea, Switzerland, and Finland, countries that spend significantly less and don't have a massive federal education bureaucracy micromanaging their schools. Maybe, just maybe, The problem isn't funding. It's the people in charge of the funding. So let's sum it up. Randi Weingarten, a woman pulling in over $500,000 a year, is spreading provably false claims about how education is funded, contradicting herself within the same breath, and fear-mongering over the potential elimination of a federal bureaucracy that contributes nothing measurable to student success. Meanwhile, actual teachers are underpaid, students are underperforming, and the Department of Education is flushing billions down the toilet. But sure, tell me more about how Trump is stealing from schools. If anyone's robbing teachers, it's not billionaires. It's people like Randi Weingarten and the bloated, useless teachers union she leads. Maybe instead of worrying about billionaires, she should take a good look at her paycheck. And speaking of Elizabeth Warren, she was recently a part of a rally held by Democrats to protest the defunding of USAID. And that whole situation is a perfect example of why the Democrats lost the last election so badly and will continue to lose it badly.
Well, no one elected Elon Musk to nothing.
That's right.
Not one Democrat in America voted for Elon Musk.
Not one.
Not one Republican in America voted for Elon Musk. Not one independent in America voted for Elon Musk. Not one libertarian in America voted for Elon Musk. Damn, not one vegetarian in America voted for Elon Musk. And yet, Elon Musk is seizing the power that belongs to the American people. We are here to fight back.
Oh boy, looks like Elizabeth Warren is losing it again. This time she's screeching about how Elon Musk is seizing power from the American people. And in a plot twist no one saw coming, vegetarians. That's right, folks, forget lobbyists, corrupt politicians, or unelected bureaucrats. Apparently the real threat to democracy is a guy who makes electric cars and rockets. And for some reason, the vegan vote is now a crucial factor in all of this. Someone check on our staffers because they either hate her or are slipping LSD into her coffee. Because you got to be tripping to be talking and thinking like this. Let's break this insanity down. First, Warren dramatically announces that no one elected Elon Musk to nothing. Yeah, no kidding, Liz. You know who else wasn't elected? You. When you lied about being Native American to get a Harvard job. But sure, let's clutch our pearls over a private citizen advising the president on where corruption is so that the president can effectively root it out. Isn't it amazing how all it took was Elon Musk coming in and exposing all the corruption and waste in Washington for all the Democrats to reveal themselves as pro-corruption politicians? Makes you think, huh? Anyway, according to Warren's logic, anyone with influence must be elected, so I guess no one should listen to her, because I don't remember voting for her as America's chief whiner in residence. And then in a masterclass of brain-dead repetition, she shrieks, not one Democrat voted for Musk, no one Republican, not one independent, no one libertarian. Oh no, Liz, don't stop there. What about not one CrossFit enthusiast? Not one left-handed barista? Not one crystal healing astrology girl on TikTok? What the hell is this list? The president has every right to appoint people to his cabinet so he can properly be advised about things that he believes are in the national interest. But Warren seems genuinely confused about the difference between an advisor and an elected official. Probably because she thinks both should be controlled by the government. But the best part, the part that makes this a Hall of Fame meltdown, is when she randomly throws vegetarians into the mix. Not one vegetarian voted for Elon Musk. Oh no, not the vegetarians. Now he's really in trouble. All their anemic asses are going to pass out as they try to bum rush him. Now, is Warren implying Musk is running a secret meat-based authoritarian regime? Does she think SpaceX is launching rockets made out of cows? Did Beyond Meat file a lawsuit against him? At this point, it's clear Warren just starts free associating words when she panics. Next week, she'll be screaming that not one Sagittarius voted for Musk. And of course, the cherry on top, we are here to fight back. Fight back against what exactly? A guy who's exposing just how awfully run the government is? How many of you politicians out there in Washington have been sending taxpayer dollars abroad to fund projects that are not in the American interest, but rather exist solely to fulfill your woke agenda? At the end of the day, the brilliant part about this whole USAID situation is that the more Democrats complain about Musk and what he's doing, and the more transparency we get, and we start understanding just how mismanaged our tax dollars truly are, the more corrupt Democrats make themselves look. Anyway, thought that was good? Well, it gets even better because right after that, one Democrat after another had a full-blown meltdown.
He has broken the law time and time again. This cannot stand. He must be held accountable. He must be made to pay. We must enforce the law.
Lock him up. Lock him up. Lock him up. Lock him up.
Oh, look, Democrats have officially entered their lock 'em up phase because when your policies suck and your candidates can't string together a coherent sentence, your only option is to start imprisoning your enemies like a third world dictatorship. Apparently, Elon Musk has broken the law time and time again, though no one seems to know which laws or how or when. But hey, why let pesky details get in the way of a good old-fashioned show trial? This is pure authoritarian theater here. The same people who spent years screeching about Trump being a fascist are now calling for a private citizen to be thrown in a cell because he dared to give the president advice on government corruption. Imagine thinking free speech is a crime, but burning down the cities in 2020 was mostly peaceful. These clowns went from no one is above the law to arrest the people we don't like faster than Hunter Biden misplaced the laptop. I'm going to keep mentioning that one because they sure don't like that. And let's talk about the most cartoonishly villainous line of them all here. He must be made to pay. Pay for what exactly? Letting people post memes about Joe Biden's dementia on X? Exposing how USAID was funding plays about transgenderism in Colombia, comic books about transgenderism in Peru, DEI policies in Eastern Europe? Because let's be real, if Musk had banned conservatives instead of exposing government Twitter collusion, they'd be nominating him for a Nobel Peace Prize right now. Now, it's evident that this isn't about the law, it's about control. Musk is off script and that cannot be allowed. The left doesn't debate. They don't persuade. They punish, especially when you come after their monies and the pet projects they like to fund so that they can push cultural Marxism on the whole world. They've made it time and time again that if you don't comply, if you don't kneel, they come for your business, your reputation, and apparently now, your freedom. If they had the choice to exile him and waterboard him for the rest of his life for tweeting about free speech, they absolutely would. So it's more evident than ever that to Democrats, Elon Musk is guilty of exposing the government corruption that they love so much. How are they going to fund all their pet projects? How are they going to convince us that we shouldn't care about the price of gas or eggs or whether our grandmother feels safe walking down the street? That we should care about whether a kid should chop off their genitals. How are they going to do that? Where's the money going to come from now, folks? It's never been more evident that the Democrat Party has officially gone from defenders of democracy, if they were actually ever that, to arrest the billionaires or else and let me get away with my corruption. I guess we really are living in a simulation, and it's written by Joseph Stalin.
With unprecedented organizing, mobilizing, agitating, we will see you in the courts, in Congress, in the streets. Elon Musk is a Nazi Nepo baby.
Another day, another Democrat demanding street chaos because apparently burning down cities is their love language. This time, Ayanna Pressley is out here screaming for mobilizing, organizing, agitating because when your policies fail, the only thing left to do is unleash your rabid followers like an unpaid Antifa internship. And let's be real, when the left says, we'll see you in the streets, they don't mean a peaceful sit-in with homemade signs. They mean breaks through windows, cop cars on fire, and looting Nike stores for justice. We've seen this routine before. Summer 2020, billions in damages, small businesses torched, entire neighborhoods wrecked, all while the media called it mostly peaceful. If this was a Republican saying this, the FBI would already be raiding their house. But when it's a Democrat, just passionate rhetoric. And then, of course, comes the mandatory Nazi comparison. Elon Musk is a Nazi, of course. Because when all else fails, just scream Hitler and hope it sticks. It's the intellectual equivalent of throwing mashed potatoes at the wall and calling it a political stance. Elon Musk, a guy who makes electric cars and rockets, is apparently the Fourth Reich. But actual rioters burning down cities are freedom fighters. Make it all make sense. We've been through this rodeo before, folks. We know this is peak Democrat strategy. They lose control of the narrative, start shrieking Nazi at their enemies, encourage rioting while pretending it's activism, then blame white supremacy for the consequences. It's always the same script, just with a different target.
We will not take this. We will fight back.
Fight back. Fight back.
And as I close out, because I know we've been out here for a long time, down the Senate. We are at war. Anytime a person can pay $250 million into a campaign and then be given full access to the Department of Treasury of the United States of America, we are at war.
Is there a reason why Democrat women want to destroy our ears? Because LaMonica McIver just went full banshee mode. And I have to ask, do Democrats come with a built-in volume control issue, or is it just part of the job description? Because every time one of these lunatics gets near a mic, it's like they're auditioning to be the human embodiment of a car alarm. Now, right off the bat, we get the classic empty slogan fest. We will not take this. We will fight back, fight back, fight back. Okay, LaMonica, we get it. You learn how to repeat words. Very inspiring. Martin Luther King would be so proud. What exactly are you fighting back against? Oxygen? Billionaires fighting corruption? The fact that you have to scream everything because no one actually listens to you. If screaming vague threats was a sport, Democrats have been taking home the gold since well before 2020. Then she goes full riot cheerleader with shut down the Senate. Oh, so this is fine now. But if a Republican even breathes the word shut down, it's an insurrection. Got it. The same people who spent years crying about threats to democracy are now out here openly calling for political obstruction. If hypocrisy was a business, Democrats would be richer than the billionaires they pretend to hate and who actually fund them. And then my personal favorite. We are at a war. Oh, you are, LaMonica. With who? Reality? People fighting corruption? The Department of Treasury? Or your own brain cells? Because as far as I can tell, the only people you're fighting are tax-paying Americans who don't want to live in your dystopian nightmare. People who actually care about how their money is spent and, don't want it mismanaged, don't want it funding transgender plays down in Peru or wherever else that we're doing it. All in all, LaMonica McIver just declared war on America because a rich guy did something she doesn't like. Stand up against corruption. She's calling for chaos, demanding the Senate be shut down, and shrieking like an exorcism gone wrong. All because Democrats are too addicted to the cash flow they've been allowed to just waste for years with zero accountability. But the chickens are coming home to roost. And I'm starting to think that I'm going to have to invest in earplugs every time I have to listen to one of these Democrats speak.
You want to take everybody else's payroll and make sure that they don't make the kind of money that you've made. Oh, you want to use our money to go to Mars. No, we want to use our money right here in Washington, D.C., in this country. We want to make sure that all of our federal employees are protected. That's right. We've got to make sure that you know and understand nobody elected you. You think you're the president of the United States of America, the co-president that can take over, go into our private payment system and do whatever you want to do. You got another thought coming. We're going to stop you right now.
Maxine Waters is back at it again, folks, proving once again that you don't need a functioning brainstem to hold a seat in Congress. Just a loud voice and a willingness to scream at billionaires who won't fund your pet projects abroad. This time, she's foaming at the mouth because Elon Musk, gasp, exists outside of government control. And for that, she wants him stopped immediately. First, she wails about how Musk is taking everybody else's payroll. Oh, that's rich, coming from a woman who's been living off taxpayer dollars for over 30 years while magically becoming a multi-millionaire. Funny how so many Congress people have done that, huh? That's right, Maxine, we know how you got your money, and it wasn't from making Teslas. But sure, let's pretend Musk, the guy who creates thousands of jobs, is the real payroll thief and not a career politician who makes six figures to yell nonsense into a microphone. Then comes the hilariously dumb claim that Musk is using our money to go to Mars. Excuse me, our money? Maxine, sweetheart, SpaceX is a private company. The only money Musk gets from the government is when NASA pays SpaceX to do a job they're too incompetent to do themselves. Unlike, say, Congress, which takes tax dollars and turns them into overpriced weapons, bloated welfare programs, and slush funds for their donors. But yeah, let's all cry about the guy who makes rockets. And then we hit the highlight of the meltdown. Maxine shrieking in regular Democrat fashion, says, nobody elected you. Ah, yes, a classic Democrat tantrum when they can't control someone. Let me get this straight. The same party that lets unelected bureaucrats, big tech, and intelligence agencies interfere in elections is suddenly mad that a private citizen has influence? Where was this energy when Zuckerberg was dumping millions into election offices, when BlackRock was buying up entire neighborhoods, when George Soros was handpicking radical Oh, that's right. Democrats only care about unelected power when it's not working for them. And let's talk about this deranged fever dream that Musk is somehow the co-president of the United States and taking over the financial system. Maxine, you absolute fossil. The only people taking over America are career politicians like you who've been in office longer than most people have been alive. Meanwhile, Musk is just building businesses, making electric cars, launching rockets, and letting people understand just how thoroughly corrupt you and your organization are. So, yeah, keep crying. Once again, you keep proving his point that all of you are swamp ghouls who are just feeding off the teat of the American worker.
We cannot allow Elon Musk and a small group of people to secretly, behind closed doors, take away our privacy, take away our dollars, take away everything we have. We are going to fight this fight. I am going to stand with you in this fight, and we will win. 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 We won't rest. We won't rest. We won't rest. We won't rest.
Chuck Schumer just embarrassed himself on a whole new level, proving once again that nothing kills a rally faster than a geriatric politician trying to start a chant with all the charisma of a wet sock. You can practically feel the crowd's secondhand embarrassment as he flails around, desperately hoping someone, anyone, joins in. Let's start with the pure comedy gold of his conspiracy theory. Apparently, Elon Musk is secretly meeting behind closed doors to steal our privacy, our dollars, and everything we have. Oh, really, Chuck? Because last time I checked, the only people robbing Americans blind were sitting in D.C., signing trillion-dollar spending bills, funding endless wars, and printing money until your grocery bill looks like a car payment. Meanwhile, the NSA is probably listening to this speech through Schumer's own microphone. But sure, let's pretend Musk is the problem. Then comes the cringiest moment of all, the forced chanting. Nothing says low-energy hostage situation quite like an 80-year-old career politician malfunctioning mid-sentence and deciding to scream, "We will win," over and over and over again like a Walmart brand dictator. We will win. We will win. Okay, Chuck, whatever. Blink twice if you're stuck in a loop. You sound like a bootleg Alexa that only has one phrase loaded. Even the most loyal Democrat NPCs in the crowd sound like they'd rather be anywhere else. And just when you think it can't get more tragic, Schumer throws in a last-minute switch-up with, "We won't rest." Bro, relax before you throw out your back. Please, do us all a favor. Just go and hide in Siberia or something. The only thing Democrats have been resting from is actually fixing the country. Where was this "we won't rest" energy when inflation exploded, crime skyrocketed, or the border became a turnstile? Oh, right. All of that was intentional. But stopping Musk from exposing government corruption and advising the president on how to cut wasteful spending, now suddenly you have endless stamina. Democrats, once again, proving that they are the party of corruption. Anyway, folks, at what point do we stop pretending these people are fighting for us and start recognizing them for what they really are? Power-hungry bureaucrats terrified of losing power. They scream about democracy while trying to jail their opponents. They warn of corruption while enriching themselves behind closed doors. They demand fairness while silencing anyone who dares to challenge them. And now, in their desperation, they're fumbling through forced chants, shrieking conspiracies, and inciting chaos because, for the first time in decades, someone they can't buy, threaten, or manipulate is standing in their way. So the question isn't just about Musk or any one figure they've chosen to target. It's about the entire system they've built, a system that crumbles the second people stop obeying without question. So how much longer will we let them get away with it? And more importantly, how many people will wake up before they decide that simply asking questions is a crime? Anyway, folks, you tell me what you think in the comments down below. Have a terrific day. Peace.